Aha, we're listening to Fool's Paradise by the Silvers, and the guy spinning that disc is Nolan Chin, our in-studio engineer. Every week we're so grateful that he...
For a couple of years now.
He wakes up and gets over here early in the morning, because a lot of times he's out spinning discs and listening to music. But Nolan Chin has another identity. It's DJ Nolan. And I wanted to have you on to tell us a little bit about your DJing work. I know that you were at a bar down in Bridgeport on Monday nights. You're on Lumpin' Radio 105.5 on Monday afternoons. And I think the bar is called Maria's.
Yeah, it's called Maria's. I think the main thing is to start by saying that I started as a DJ at WLUW.
Woo-woo.
It feels weird to talk about another radio station. It feels like you're batting for another team when you talk about WLPN and you're at a totally different station in a studio. But it's actually not really it's not really a thing that exists in radio. I mean, the radio team's not really necessarily competing with each other for viewer listenership, because
actually quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite. They should be helping each other, and they do help each other, because we're servicing the city for the same goal. And it seems counterintuitive to say, oh, you can't, you shouldn't be listening to this station because we exist here. So
I love that you started out with that. That's excellent.
Yeah, because I
Needs
felt,
to be said.
What should I talk about? But yeah, so I also DJ and work at do stuff at WLPN. It's a brand new radio station that's in Bridgeport.
Just Lumpin' Radio.
Lumpin' Radio 105.5. Just got started. Last year we just got our air signal, so we're actually broadcasting on radios now as of 2 months ago. It's a great project that got started by Ed Marzewski. He's the general manager, owner at Maria's Packaged Goods. So it's kind of a
neighborhood-based enterprise.
It's a neighborhood-based bar, cafe. Sounds very reminiscent of another place.
You're listening to the Live from the Heartland show.
Yeah, and Edmar's great. He used to run the Lumpin' magazine from the 90s.
Oh, we know that guy.
Out in Wicker Park. And
sure, we sold that at our magazine rack.
Yeah.
When there was one at the Heartland, yeah.
Well, how did you get into DJing? And I, it's kind of a phenomenon I didn't ever pay much attention to. The last thing I thought about was going to a bar to listen to someone spinning records. I grew up on jukeboxes or live music, but it's a happening thing. And in a lot of Afro-American and Latino neighborhood places, there's a lot of spinning discs. And my own kid from Twin Peaks, Katie, and he's been making some bucks every once in a while spinning discs. So it's tell us about the DJing industry, so to speak.
Sure. Well, I think each DJ is different. It's hard to say that there's a DJing industry. I think there are people, first and foremost, people who are DJs, so to speak, just have a very vast knowledge about a particular genre of music. My wheelhouse happens to be jazz and blues. A lot of stuff like that.
You're a hell of an organ player and piano player, I remember.
Is one of my favorite bands. It's the Silvers. It's a great Cadet Records band. Cadet Records is the psychedelic record label that used to exist on Chess Records. So not only is it Chicago-based music, but it's like this weird Chicago-based music that occupies funk music and psychedelic, and the song I just played is about Nixon. So it's
Rotary Connection?
Yeah, Rotary Connection's also Cadet Records.
Dang, Rotary Connection, I remember.
Yeah. Just these weird bands that write, they wrote songs about Nixon, but they were kind of funky and weird, and you danced to them, you didn't really listen to it, but if you did listen to it, it would be like, oh, this is kind of
Fool's Paradise.
weird. Yeah. So that's what I really enjoy, and that's why I love DJing, because I love playing stuff like that is not only does it feel accessible and listenable, but it's got it's got layers to it, and you can peel it back and listen to a tune, and it's got something going on.
Sweet.
And that all has something to do with the fact that I grew up in Chicago, and there was so much music happening when I was a kid, even when I was 13 or 14.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Lincoln Park High School.
Oh, sure.
And when I was in high school, I did a bunch of jazz programs that were actually a big part of what growing up in Chicago as a kid means, is that you can participate in all these after-school programs. Gallery 37 is a very big program that a lot of people that I know went through. And myself, I went through that program. I did all these jazz programs with all these people who became working musicians now. These guys are my age: Will Miller, Macy Stewart, Lane Beckstrom, all these guys, Katie and Colin Kroom. These are all people that I have known since going back 10 years, which
Wow.
is almost half of my life now. And like these guys just do all these things, and that's where I come from too. That's also my pedigree, and I don't play as much as those guys, but I sort of took what I learned and rechanneled it into, you know, doing engineering stuff and DJing and music and helping start radio stations and all that other kind of stuff.
I cannot tell you how excited I am to hear you talk. This is thrilling.
He's good.
It's said that radio is dead, that the internet and iTunes has just killed the way we used to listen to radio. I've wondered if there isn't something else going on, that your station, LUW, perhaps the Hyde Park station, represent, and Vocalo, I'll throw in the mix here. NUR to a certain extent, but they have a lot more sports and news and stuff.
ZRD.
Community radio stations that are really playing an eclectic array of local music. That I think are bringing listeners of a different generation back to radio. Right. Even with all our digital devices and whatnot. Am I smoking a pipe dream here, or is that actually happening?
No, of course that's true. Of course it's also not true that radio is dead, because, I mean, you know, excuse me.
Somebody turned down his mic.
Here's the thing, radio has been around for longer than any other medium, right? So if you think about the history of radio, you can say radio is dead. Radio from the 1940s is certainly dead. We don't have fireside chats anymore. So, you know, that's fine. Radio has always been reinventing itself based on music formats. You know, we don't play 45s anymore. We're not on AM radio, so not everything has to be mono anymore either. So of course, AM radio is dead because we don't have to do mono records anymore. And you know, music from this era is dead, and that era of radio is dead. So everything is redefining itself, and you know, radio is art, and art is always, there's always a space for things to sort of reinvent and retool itself. So yeah, it's like everything's community radio now. Talk radio is coming back in a very big way, not just us, but also, you know, sports radio stations. I think The Score was rated as the most listened to station in Chicago, and that's just...
It's the easiest one to listen to.
Yeah.
No bad news, you know?
Right.
People,
Well, it depends on what team.
well, no. People, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the idea. Each station is sort of focusing itself on one particular goal. So with the particular case of The Score, they're going to just do sports. They're not going to try and do this broad spectrum of, we're going to play Christmas music in December and that type of thing. And that's what this show is too. This show, you know what you're going to get when you listen to the Heartland Cafe radio show. You know what you're going to get when you tune into Lumpen Radio. You're going to get the weird 80s obscure Italian disco music, and when you listen to us, you're going to get the heated political discussion, and you can't say the T word, and the, you know. So
You could say the D word though, is
Yeah.
a drumpf.
Wow. Nolan, when you are working at all these various communally and community-based radio shows, what is it that at the end of the day you're really happy about this work, and or at the end of the day you go, gee, if only yet that could happen, we could really blossom or spread or do something that is being held back from, you know what I'm saying?
sure.
What do you love
I'm not
about
sure.
it? What's
I'm
missing?
glad you are.
Yeah. Thank you for understanding, Nolan.
I think that my position on what I want to do as radio seems very self-centered, in that I just want to do what I want to do. It happens to be that what I want to do is also very beneficial to
Hip.
for others and for
the community.
For the community. I'm not trying to make this all about myself. What I'm really saying is, you know, you got to really enjoy yourself, and you got to, you know, some of my favorite pieces or works of anything, all of those people made those things for themselves. I'm thinking about, you know, the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's. If they had made that record for other people, it wouldn't be Sgt. Pepper's.
Amen to
If they
that.
had made, you know, if this particular person had written with the community in mind, then it would kind of be this different piece of work than what it is now. And what it is now actually serves the community in a much better way than if he had thought about it in that particular fashion. So,
again, the call letters for your show are?
It's WLPN, Lumpin Radio 105.5 FM. And
you also, while you run into the other room to spin a disc, you also are at Maria's, which is at, let me get that right address, it's at 960 West 31st, and you're there on Monday nights.
I'm there every Monday night, 9 p.m. to last call DJing, kind of what you're listening to before and after.
Can you tell us what this last cut is?
This is, I brought a 45. I meant to bring the sleeve here, but it's Bob Dylan.
Oh, nice.
This is the times they were changing, but what I think is really unique is this is a 45 single version. Thank you. Here's the sleeve. Very nice.
Very nice.
What's unique about this is that this is actually a piano version of Times They Were Changing rather than the guitar harmonica version that made the record. So I find it very rare that most people who have listened to Dylan for years, a lot of them don't even know that there's a piano version of this.
Absolutely.
And it's actually my favorite version, not only because I'm a piano player, but I just really enjoy that. It's just piano and Dylan, there's no harmonica.
Okay, play it, because we're running out of time. You have been listening to the Live from the Heartland show. We're brought to you every Saturday morning on WLUW 88.7 Chicago Sound Alliance. And we next week are going to have an interesting discussion with Jerry Harris about global capitalism and the crisis of democracy. And
my friend Achio
Bejas is going to be here too. So we're going to go out with
James and friend here.
And we're going to go out with Nolan spinning that Dylan disc.
And we're not going to talk over it because we love this song.
All power to the people. Do good in the world. The world needs all the good that you do.
All power to the people.